speaker series for the GBC Analytics Club. I'm your host today, Karen Sinot, and I'm the faculty advisor for the GBC Analytics Club. For today, I noticed a lot of you are just using your first name, but I'm suggesting to everybody that when you're on virtual meetings and you want to network with people that you haven't met before, and when there are potentially industry people like Riddhi, who's presenting today, you might want to use your first and last names. And any guests from outside of George Brown would indicate their company name so that the people on the call are familiar with who's here. Many of you have tested your mic. And if you have any questions and discussions, because today will be quite an open and interactive session, you're welcome to open your mic or use the chat box or use your video, whatever is you're most comfortable with. This summer we had fun. We had a lot of fun. Alan was one of the faculty mentors for our competition, and Natalia was our #1 winner. And we had over 40 participants. So that was one of the big initiatives that we did this summer with the Analytics Club. And we're hoping to do more competitions over the summer and into the fall. And we also hosted over 23 sessions this summer. And we've posted all of the recordings that are available for those sessions on a YouTube channel. So you're welcome to check them out for topics that you might have missed. That you would find interesting. We had over 140 participants this spring. The channel includes some topics related to technical skills and data. One of them features Alan Esser, that I spelled his name wrong here. And we also had a number of categories related to the career search and soft skills. And Riddhi is going to continue that conversation today. And then we had a very unique session on blockchain discussions with a lot of the people from the technology school that joined us. And so what's happening next is the executive team of the club are meeting and putting together a plan. And the plan will include a continuation of the GBC speaker series. And while I'm on vacation, Ellie Eufus will be hosting those sessions. So watch out for details. They'll all be posted online. We're also going to be launching a project with Blocks that hosted the blockchain discussions. So we have a Kevlar project where we'll be engaging students in the summer and fall. Some of those roles will be paid in the summer. The executive team of the club are coming up with some competition ideas. And if you want to participate, you are encouraged to connect with the team on that. And towards the end of the summer, we'll be hosting a virtual networking event. SAS will be hosting it for us. So those are some activities coming up in the summer. But today, we're here to learn together and to have a conversation with Riddhi about her experiences. So Riddhi, I'm going to pass it over to you, and I'll give you the screen.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen. I think I'll share my screen. Awesome. Here. Give me a quick second.
That's right.
Awesome. Let me know if when
I'll
you can see my screen.
There we are. Yeah. You're
Awesome.
good.
Can you see my picture?
Yeah. Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Again, thank you so much, Karen, for this opportunity. Being a George Brown College alumni, I think has been one of the best experiences I've had throughout my career journey, I'd say in India or here. So just as a quick introduction for the folks on the call, my name is Riddhi Modi. I am right now the Partner Channel Marketing Lead for enablement for Microsoft Canada. I graduated from George Brown in 2017. I came to George Brown or Canada, I'd say about 5 years ago to be precise. I celebrated my 5th-year anniversary last 2 week, I think last week. So I came in summer. I started as, yeah, it's 2015. I came here in, I think in May. So I think this webinar is a perfect timing. I'm in the mindset of, celebrating my existence in Canada as well as my experience in the last 5 years. So I think this is one of the best time where I'd be able to summarize what I've been doing in the past 5 years. So again, came to George Brown in 2015 as an international student, like a lot of you folks on the call are. And even if you're not, for domestic students, I came here as an international student and I took on the International Business Management Program. I think that's B411 with the Center for Business. And then the second program I took was Strategic Relationship Marketing, the B409. Both of them are 1-year post-grad certifications. So going a little back, before I came to Canada, in India, I was working with Capgemini as an analytics lead, I'd say, focused on social media analytics and tools like IBM Cognos, Sysmos, etc., and doing social media listening, a little bit of analytics, etc. And then a little more background is that in India, I did my bachelor's. I have a double bachelor's, one in a computer application and the second one in mass media, specializing in journalism. So I'd say with that kind of experience and moving to Canada, these two programs were best fit for me. And if anyone has their questions saying that why did you do two programs, I think you folks are international students, are at least familiar with the policy which says that you do 2 years of program and then you're able to get 3 years of work permit. So with the same concept in mind, I came here, did these two programs which made really sense to me and helped me with the job and the next journey that I was going to accomplish at George Brown and in Canada, I'd say. Moving forward, I just thought, and again, I'd like to mention this I'd like to mention this on the call, that think about this call as that opportunity where you could ask frank questions, be friendly, and, understand everything that you need to be in terms of job search, in terms of how COVID is affecting you. If you're a student, if you're not a student, you just graduated, you're looking for a job and you're thinking, oh my God, the COVID might be a hurdle for me to find a job. So the reason I want to walk you through my journey as well is I just hope that it makes sense to you. You could relate to it, and then in the end, ask questions that you were hesitant to ask anyone, maybe even if it's a small question. I think this is that platform and opportunity for all of you and me to help you answer those questions, or at least try.
And I just want to encourage that, and in that thinking about that, about your questions, does the video recording make you uncomfortable about the ability to ask questions? Or are you guys okay with the idea of continuing to record? What's your thoughts? Show of hands, like a thumbs up or something in the chat box. This is a small group and it's a good time to have conversation and share experiences and get some great advice from Riddhi. You guys comfortable with the recording still?
Awesome. I can't see the chat, but then I'd say that for folks who are maybe hesitant, to ask questions or anything like that, utilize the chat window. The best way to let out anything and everything that you have relating to the current situation and other things.
And we can have a chat at the end as well. Okay, let's keep going.
Okay, awesome. Amazing. So I think I gave a little bit of background about myself. I'd say a quick sneak peek of my journey till date. I'd say, again, working with some complex organizations like Capgemini, Microsoft, Just Energy, Rogers, and George Brown and Student Association of George Brown College. This kind of sums up my journey from the day I started working or started studying until now. I'd say another thing is, you see these pictures, I put this up just to break that um, the conversation, and the thing that would make you think about yourself is, and I'm going to let you on a secret that I used this first slide when I interviewed for Microsoft, and it worked. So I think the reason I also wanted to put this up is, sometimes we get really stressed about our interviews, and we try to be as much as professional and try to keep it very simple and this and that. And this is simple, but this is, I think, a little more sneak peek about what you are, who you are, what are the things that really drive you, and just a snapshot of what your journey and aspirations look like. This gives the interviewer an idea about yourself, your character, your work culture, I'd say, that you've been a part of. And it kind of helps the interviewer to build a strong story. Even say if you don't have working experience, someone might be like, Riddhi, but I don't have working experience. That's okay. You could put down things that you've done during your school, or any community involvement that you've done throughout, and some aspirations, just for the person to know that, hey, this is what I'm looking for. So about me here, you'll see that I was part of School of Business and Marketing. I actually do every year the CN Tower climb. Initially, I always used to do with the George Brown College. I think for the first 4 years, I was part of George Brown team, and now I kind of do it separately. But it's a great initiative. It's a great exposure for your social contribution towards the society. And then you see, I think other things are on the top left. There's this picture with so many people in it. I'd say that this is again George Brown. One very key thing that I'd like to mention here that drives a lot of momentum to my success in Canada as an international student is my involvement within the college. And not only in terms of education, but also volunteering on various initiatives that George Brown leads. And the best one, or the most impactful one, was working within the school. I know, as international students, we come here, we come to Canada, and we are like, oh, but we don't have Canadian experience. We're really a little shy or hesitant on applying for jobs and working outside. I'd say my sister, she's an international student right now. I think the one advice I gave her is like, listen, look for jobs outside for sure, but leverage college resources that are available. You actually, for Student Association, I'll talk about it later in the next slide, but Student Association pays more than the minimum wage that is in Canada. At least it did until last year or 2 years ago when I was the president there. I'm not really aware of the current one, but then that's what we do. You get paid more, you have exposure within the school, and hey, the best thing is that college jobs kind of maintain your study curriculum, and then give you shifts based on that as well. So if you're struggling to find part-time jobs, or if you're even struggling to find a full-time job, I'd say look at our school resources. There's so many jobs available at George Brown itself. There's front desk. There with Student Association, we hire about 120 part-time students every single year. At least before COVID, that's what we did. So there's so many opportunities within, and I think that is a very key thing I'd like to mention for international students specifically, to utilize that, to make to get benefit out of that. And it's really helpful.
And a good point that you made is that those opportunities are still available even during COVID.
I'd say that's my understanding as well. But I'd recommend to connect with Student Association and George Brown to find that out. Yeah. And it's for students, those 120 positions that I was talking about, it's only for students, and it's for only George Brown students. So hey, why not, right? and you learn so much. The exposure is great, and you're recognized. I'd say throughout my George Brown career, I was awarded Michael Cook Leadership Award, and even like I think there's very few international scholarships available for us. So things like these, involvement with school, involvement with a community, this kind of impacts and makes your application strong when you are applying for international scholarship, or even if you're applying for scholarship college or any other university if you're not a student of George Brown College. So these are some key things that help me drive and build my experience within George Brown after coming to here as an international student. And another thing I'd like to mention is, maybe a few of you folks might be thinking, but hey, you know, maybe you had family, maybe you had support system. We are new here, we don't know here anybody. How do we overcome that? So let me tell you, I came to this country knowing no one in sight, absolutely. So for maybe a lot of you, for me, it was the same thing, starting from scratch and building myself into a new country, and that's challenging. And it's okay. You know, the best thing you can do is talk to your professors. They're amazing. George Brown College itself is an amazing place to be, specifically if you're new to the country. I'd say you can speak with your professors. They guide you. They connect you with mentors or anyone that would be helpful to you, you know, building that confidence, building that strength, or even just exposure to various job opportunities that are available. So definitely utilize that, I'd say. Awesome. I think the next thing that I just, you know, would like to take you through is my career impact. And you know, whenever I look at this slide, I really feel proud of, you know, achieving and doing something, going out of my comfort zone, taking up some jobs that maybe did not fit my skill set, but I learned them, understood them, and became a specialist. So I think very briefly, as I said, at Capgemini, I was the analytics consultant. Then I moved to Canada. Being an international student, I know that we are only allowed to work 20 hours off campus. And also a few hours on campus. So when I was a student full-time, I was doing my part-time hours at Rogers Communication as you know, a sales specialist, I'll say. And then in the same time, you'd see this middle block, and there's George Brown College. In my 2.5 years of George Brown College, I have put my feet in, you know, I wouldn't say anything and everything, but things that I felt really passionate about. You know, you see all these job positions. If you start with student association hires a lot of positions like Safe Walk. I don't know if you folks are aware, but there's a Safe Walk program before COVID that says that towards the night, I think in between 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., if you feel, you know, if you don't feel like walking alone in the campus, or even if you need help going to the closest subway station, etc., we have these positions who sit in front desk. If you've ever noticed, they're in those yellow jackets. So I was a Safe Walk captain for a while for that. Then there's also front desk representative at George Brown. I did that. And then again, other roles like advertising specialist with the student association. And you know what? All of this exposure helped me get my co-op at the marketing department of George Brown College as a digital marketing specialist. So I think I'd like to pause and kind of iterate a little more because I know that, you know, I speak with a lot of students in general, and the challenge is that, you know, their struggle to find a co-op or their struggle to find internship. And, you know, the concerns are that, hey, you know, we've applied for XYZ and we are not hearing back, getting rejected because they said that you don't have enough Canadian experience or XYZ reasons, right? So how I got this co-op opportunity was that, again, like you folks, I had my internship 4 months, and then we started looking for co-ops, and then there was this position within George Brown College. I'd say that apart from my skills and relevancy to the role, my involvement with George Brown College on various aspects, including community contributions, added as a great factor to have me succeed in getting the co-op that I did for 4 months. And they were the best 4 months ever. Like, my manager at George Brown is one of my mentors, who's even after that, 3 years, 4 years ago, even after that, she's been my constant, support. Or if I have any questions, I can reach out to her, and she's the one who always, congratulates on any new achievement that I have. So do that, build that relationship, build that trust. With your faculties, with your managers. That does not matter how much time it goes, they're always there to support you. And trust me, folks, that leads to some great success in life that you never would have thought about. And then finally, the board of governors, I was on the seat for George Brown. And the another important experience with George Brown was the director of communication. So I think I ran 2 terms as the president, according to the hierarchy for the student association. So things like advocating rights for about 30,000 students at George Brown College, being that spokesperson to the media, managing the end-to-end work for student association. So some amazing opportunities, some amazing leadership opportunities, I'd say, where we had our team, where we led and kind of helped part-time students, or even students in general in the role, and scaled it on a big level. Things like increasing scholarships, or supporting students with their education, the exam marks, etc. A lot of those stuff. So I think that experience is what I cherish as my leadership opportunity that I got inside George Brown College, and I have been able to use that, show that in outside of the George Brown College. Skills like these are transferable. You can lead, you can learn the skills even if you don't know them. And it's amazing. That helped me with my communications, I'd say, at least public speaking, etc. So again, small opportunities are like this, which we don't even think about submitting, because, hey, we're international students. And how do you think, I would be a president, it does not really fit, but that's not true. There are opportunities, and we need to give ourselves that chance to experience it, understand it, and succeed with it. And again, nothing is impossible. Might sound like a statement, but truly, if you intend to do it, it works. And if it doesn't work, it's okay. You got the experience, you learned out of it, and then maybe you can move on to a different challenge. And these thoughts keep me motivated, even during COVID, when I'm working from home in isolation. I don't have family here, in a way. So things like this thought process like that, keeping yourself positive, optimistic about these things, kind of really help you be in the right state of mind. I'd say that. And then I think next is just energy that I did for some while. And I think from last year, 2019, about Jan-Feb, I joined Microsoft as a partner channel marketing manager. And then recently, 2 months ago, I got promoted to a lead position. So that's been my, journey. And maybe I'll pause for a second. And if Karen or anyone else has questions, thoughts, I'd really love to hear that.
Because I think this is a good time. Let's see what the chat box has. Just a second here. Because I think you asked, or you expressed how, the anxiety that people might feel at this time. Is anyone feeling that anxiety? Or any hesitations to get going on looking for opportunities on campus if you're between semesters? And because Mina's sharing her first days, right? And I came to the States to study when I was younger, having not been in the States before. And in Canada, And I remember how scared I was, but I was a Canadian, so.
Meeting masih baru tuh bro.
What's that?
Baru na.
Yeah, I think they need to they're on mute. Unmute.
So Mina, when you first started, so you came to Canada, like how did you make friends when you first started class? How did you make your first contacts?
Actually, in the orientation, they explained the importance of making networking, and they asked us to talk to the person who sits beside us. It helped me to make a friendship easily in the first step. After that, I tried to search on LinkedIn, GBC, alumni, student, and send connect. And but because of this situation, it doesn't happen successfully a lot, but now I'm much better than the first days because I try to manage it with help of the GBC, the social medias. It helped me a lot during these tough days.
Very good. And I think that is right. It all starts with making one friend, and that
Yes.
could be a friend sitting next to you. Mina, thanks for sharing that. And the idea that it also could be someone here on the call today, or it could be Riddhi.
Yeah, I would be appreciate to make friends with all of you.
And because Raul was asking that, or is describing how, in spite of applying to a lot of opportunities online, not getting interviews. Any thoughts about that?
Absolutely. So I think, Raul, I mean, the challenge that you have is faced by every one of us. We tend to apply lots and lots of job, and then when we don't hear back from them, it makes us question ourselves, our skills, or even disappointed from the fact that it takes so much energy and time to apply for specific jobs. So when I experienced that when I was a student, I'd say that I followed some specific guidelines that came out, after experience and not hearing back from a lot of companies. So I'd say that few points to mention over here is that first, when you apply for a job, don't copy paste the same resume for every job that you apply. That's one thing I did. Cater your resume. I'm not sure what your profile is, but if you're applying for a digital marketing role, and you see another analytics role in that, although you see a digital analytics role and a digital marketing role, look at the job ask, look at the job responsibilities, and if you think you are able to fit in your skills into that, iterate, make changes to it, and put the keywords that are asked in the resume, because it's possible that maybe if you're applying for a job as a digital marketing specialist, and your skills match there, but you applied for a role as a digital marketing analyst, maybe a few skills applied and few didn't, so there's more chances of not hearing back on the second one. So I think that's one advice that I got is, keep a master resume, and then have multiple other resumes based on, say, a general job title, but even, post a different resume. I wouldn't say different, but then post resumes based on the job ask. That would really, really help you increase and target your job search versus one to everything. I'd say another point that has really, really helped me is that I did a lot of coffee chats. And right now, it's an opportunity when, even though it's COVID, people are home, reach out to your, people who you would like to work, or companies that you would like to work. So reach out to people. For example, you want to work at Microsoft. So connect with, me or anyone that is related to your role. Ask them about what the culture is, what are the expectations, and just have that coffee chat with the intention to understand and see if you fit for that position. That's one key thing that we sometimes don't realize, is that it's a lot of other factors that come into consideration when you're applying for jobs. It's not just your skill. It's their work culture, it's your work culture. and other things, a good fit to the company, a good fit to the culture. So that's a key discussion you need to have with folks in the team or in the company before you apply. What that leads to is that, even get referrals if you have built that relationship with that person who you are talking to, and you both feel that confident that, this is a good fit for you. Recommend or ask them to refer you, but only when you're at a point. I mean, my experience, I'd say a lot of folks try to connect with me on LinkedIn, and their first statement is that, hey, I'm looking for a job at Microsoft, will you recommend me? And my first thought, or my first thought is like, I don't know you, right? I mean, instead of no, my first thought is more of like, hi, but I don't know you. And when I refer you, my credibility comes into question too. And no one's thinking about that aspect. That does not mean that you are not suitable for the job. But if you're asking someone to refer you for something, introduce yourself, build that connection, build that, over the time. And then if you both feel confident about it, then it's the next step. And I think that one step, I don't know, Karen, if you have any other thoughts, but my experience, students or newcomers or anyone who's looking for jobs kind of miss them, so then they get disappointed saying that, well, you know what, I knew someone at Microsoft, but they did not refer me.
And it feels like no one's helping. And I think Raul, is any of the suggestions that Riddhi's giving helping you with other ideas for getting interviews? Well, we'll wait to see if he, because I think that there's a difference between people not wanting to help. Mm-hmm. And it's not true, right? But that you have to make it easy for them to help. And so this idea of building trust, making connections, and making friends before you start asking for help for a job interview.
Absolutely, bang on, Karen.
Yeah, so you have to make friends and get a feel for the culture of that company and learn about that company based on how those people make friends with you, right?
100%.
Some will ask for a comment, some will want some conversation, some will want to, have a more detailed video conference during this time. And that gives you an idea of how close and how much the community is important within that work environment.
Exactly. And you know what? You'll be surprised to know, and pleasantly surprised, at least my experience is that people are really, really willing to help you if you take that right approach.
Okay. And so Raul was saying that that's good advice. I'll just give you, Adam had asked, he's saying first, congratulations on your career path, because you've definitely been successful and you're definitely a role model for other students. And that's why I invited you to come today. He's asking about the relevance of US experience in Canada.
Thanks, Adam. First of all, we all really try to do our best. I'd like to answer this question, maybe not just relating to US experience, but international experience. I personally don't have a US experience, so maybe I might not be very specific, but how I look at having international experience the way that I did was, we need to understand, or even we need to make the other person understand how the skills that you had in your US experience or international experience relate to the current job that you are applying. That's, I think, the first key message that needs to be delivered to your interviewer to make them understand. And I'd say, other than that, small things. For example, I personally did not have any Canadian experience. So are you a student, Adam, or are you, did you finish your studies already?
He's studying analytics, advanced analytics.
Okay.
Or he's interested specifically in advanced analytics in the US. Anything else to add, Adam? And the thing about the US versus Canada is that Canada is about 10% of the size of the US market.
Yeah.
Is 3% of the size of the global market. So Canada. So if you've done data work in the U.S., the Canadian marketplace will seem quite teeny, and the databases will seem quite teeny. So as Riddhi's talking about relating your U.S. experiences to the Canadian marketplace, you have to talk about how you can work with small data sets, smaller data sets than you would for the U.S. as an example of that transition.
Yeah, definitely.
So good with that. There's
Okay.
a couple other, so did you have anything else to add about how to relate, Riddhi, I think to relate your international experiences to a Canadian hiring manager?
Oh,
who
absolutely.
may not, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was my question. So I think I didn't catch it. Is Adam a student in US or in Canada? Because I know that there were about international students joining the session.
And he hasn't clarified, but he feels like he's got his question answered.
Okay, sounds good. Otherwise, another just one point for closing I'd add is that, if folks are studying, and that's what I did, and when you're looking for, say, part-time jobs when you are studying and you feel that you're not getting relevant experience to that, what I did or what I would recommend is to, do volunteering work, which may be paid or not paid, relating to your field. That builds Canadian experience. No one has ever said that Canadian experience can be only counted if it's paid. That's not true. Take on small projects, work with smaller, small businesses, help them out. I have a friend, I think, who's into analytics with government, and I think he recently, went to a small business and be like, hey, I can help you out with X, Y, Z, and he generated his own income, or just helped out that person. So things like these, volunteering experience, reaching out to small businesses, and getting that Canadian experience while you were a student and add it to your resume, that has a huge impact, and it's not to be taken very lightly.
And that raises the idea of working with small businesses, raises the opportunity for participating in clubs. Tom, did you want to talk about the Enactus Club? He might not be on it.
I can jump in really quickly. Actually, Enactus Nationals convention is going on right now at the same time. Can you hear me, Karen?
Yes.
We can.
Riddhi, nice to see you, by the way.
Thanks,
it's been a while. So Enactus's nationals are going on right now, and in fact, they just won $2,000 extra for their Youth Going Forward entrepreneurship project that they're working on, which is trying to teach entrepreneurship skills to young people, which is important in today's world. Obviously, like now, people need to make their own jobs and stuff, right? And actually, we're looking at it's fascinating. We're actually talking now about the idea that with this COVID situation, contact tracing can be conducted effectively by people that are on the autistic spectrum. So there's lots of discussions going on there. It's really fascinating, and this type of volunteer stuff leads to job fairs. It leads to other things. I'll put the Enactus's what's it called URL into the chat, because it's all sort of month long. They have a whole bunch of different like HSBC women's entrepreneurship panels. There's RBC Future Launch just talked to us and everything. So we've got there's all these opportunities, and it's global. Entrepreneurship is global, and Enactus is global. So thanks for letting me speak about it. Karen, you're muted.
Thanks, Tom. Yeah, thanks, Tom. And thanks for mentioning the Enactus, because I really wanted to talk about it as well, very briefly, about the opportunities at college again. Enactus is really a great opportunity, and I know you've already spoken about it, but I remember all those conferences and competitions that we have across all the other universities. I think that's also a great experience to add to your resume, and that shows that you have leadership. You'll do more than needed for your job, in your job, and that kind of sets you apart, right?
Listen, our team, our Enactus team as well, the entire team is international students, the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, they get it. I think the Canadian students don't get it, to be honest with you. I think because when I go into the United States and I tell people professionally that I'm an Enactus fellow, people like get down, they're like, oh my God, we're not worthy. But, here in Canada, people are like, what? You know what I mean? Which is really interesting to me. So globally, this is something that is well known. Students can access this. They can connect with these kinds of things, connect with me to do these things. And if they go to another school, look for the Enactus team, join the team. This is where everybody comes to me saying, okay, give me one of your Enactus students all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And secret guys, get in touch with Tom. He has this amazing, cool job opportunities I follow him on the Facebook. Tom, I don't know if you know this, but when I was a student, you posted an opportunity for, I think, SAS. Years ago, and I almost cleared the interviews, but I was a student, and an international student, so that was the reason I didn't go through. But I think I cleared 4 or 5 rounds, and thanks to the opportunity that you posted.
Of course you would have.
Okay, we've got a couple other questions here. So Lena was asking about the difference, whether you network on LinkedIn and how that experience is different than real-time networking.
Then real-time networking, how is it different?
And are you successful at networking online?
Yeah, I'd say that. And again, you know what? It's the need of the hour. It is COVID, and the real time or in person is not really possible right now. So how I am networking is having these video chats. You can still, again, you can't compare in person and virtual, but what you can do is have these video chats with your mentors or with the people on LinkedIn. Ask them, not maybe everyone is comfortable, but maybe once you are at a point where you have this back and forth conversation over LinkedIn, you can just be frank about it, that, hey, I'd love to have a coffee chat with you. Are you free this time? And then just ask them if they're okay with video calling. At least Microsoft is encouraging that, to have all our meetings over the video call. And you'd be surprised that people really want to chat with you and they feel that connection if the calls are video, So for me, I'd personally say that apart from that in-person feel, the virtual thing is actually working out better because sometimes, when you meet people in person, they are kind of taking out time out of their life for you. In this case, it's a more comfortable and more availability options versus in person. That's at least my experience. It's been positive. Did we lose Karen?
Oops, I was having a great conversation with myself. So Charlie was asking about how you manage the jobs, being a student and doing all the networking and volunteering activities all at the same time.
I know. I don't want to say I'm a superwoman. I'm not. I'd say, but how it really helped, and thanks, Charlie, for the question. I'd say that time management is the key. 100%. I don't know about other folks, but I am a person who thrives with multitasking and would love to be organized in my life and manage accordingly. So to answer the question, was it not stressful? Of course it was. There's 24 hours. I am studying, maintaining my, GPA 3.5 and above, having these volunteering activities and jobs at the same time. So I'd say, at least for me, I was super organized when I knew that, I had a class from, say, morning 9 to 11, then I had break for 3 hours, and then I had another course. And that's where I think, going back to my conversation about working at school, is that student association worked alongside my curriculum. So if I had those 3 hours in between and I told them that I'm available and I am in school, they would give me a job for 2 to 3 hours in that time frame. So that's that. And then I'd say that I always kept half a day for myself, for just catching up with friends, meditation, etc. But it requires a lot of your time involvement. It does. I wouldn't say that it does not. So I'd say time management, keeping yourself organized, and having your time managed in a way that makes sense and does not stresses you out, can really help you do all those activities. At least it helped me. Now everyone's different, so I can't really say that the same for everyone, but hey, it's possible.
But you have to schedule it.
Yeah,
As
yeah,
you're saying,
that's the best thing. Like right now, if I don't have a meeting on my Outlook, do not expect me to show up. I am not going to show up. So I think that is my survival kit.
Okay, Mina has a question about that she knows that she needs to study and have certifications, because many new Canadians, that's important, but she also needs a job. How does she cope with this? So she needs, I'm assuming, Mina, you mean a make ends meet job while you're trying to study to get your certifications, and how do you balance that?
Yes, you are right, because my time is limited, and I should finish the education for the 1 year, but for finding job I need this some certification that takes time. I wanna to know how can I cope with them. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. And thanks, Mina, for the question. Again, I think it ties it back to having a schedule for you. So if you know that when your jobs are going to be, when you have the free time, and when is the time that you just need for yourself. So this might sound, because I am a person who's very organized and multitasking, it kind of fits in my thought process to have those things built in my day-to-day life. So I'd say, and it's a great thing, honestly. So you know that for, say, Monday, you have job and school. Say you are at school for 4 hours, and then you have 3 hours job. So maybe carve out time for certification, say just half an hour each day or 1 hour each day, and then work. This is what works for me. I always set a date and then have a work back schedule to my life, and that kind of helps me reach that goal. So when you talk about certification, you would be like, okay, I need to do, let's talk about, I don't know, fundamentals, Azure 900. So you want to do Azure 900, and you say that, okay, I'm going to do it in the end of June. So just work back, dedicate your time, half an hour a day, or maybe just 3 times a day. I think balancing is all about you. Every one of us has 24 hours. How you schedule them, how you fit them into your day-to-day life is really upon you, versus anyone telling you on how to do it.
Okay. And we have a number of new people on the call. So what we're doing right now is we're asking Rita any questions that you have about your personal Canadian experiences and advice that she might give you. You can either take the mic, or you can ask questions on the chat box, and I'll read them out for her. And Alan asked a question, which I skipped over. Alan, I probably thought I was forgetting it. Do you know any advice to students about how to make their college studying experience the best it can be to help them with their job search? Anything that you would do better, different, the same?
I mean, from an international student perspective, Karen, I think this was a huge mindset for me, at least, because I grew up in an environment of education where a lot of things were based on theory. Even our exams were theory based. And when I was at student association, I would speak with a lot of students saying that it's a huge mindset change for them from a theory based curriculum to a practical based curriculum. And that's what I love about North America, or the education system, that a lot of components are practical. So I'd say what I would do differently, or what I really enjoyed during my studies, was the group projects. I'm not sure about other programs, but strategic relationship marketing, a lot of success in education, in finishing your education, depended on doing a lot of group projects. For each subject there were multiple groups, and I think Karen would also chime in, telling us about that. So I'd say that is one thing, is that when you are in those group projects, depending on what your role is, take the lead on. You're observing that not everyone is working, because hey, everyone's having the same challenges as managing their education, working part-time, and also trying to meet their ends. So you be that person, take up the leadership, and on a very easy basis, you'll be like, okay, let's plan this out. Maybe you do this, you do this, you do this, and make that experience a little more fun for everyone else, so that you learn out of it, you get good grades, but and also have fun with it. I mean, I'm going to say this, which Karen and Tom and any other professor is not going to like it, is that till date, no one has ever asked me my grade, ever, including Microsoft and any other organization, including George Brown. So it's not about the grade, but it's about your experience, your learning, and how much fun you've had with that. It's not really rocket science. So, and that's a good, stopover for me, is to, when I am involved in so many things, it's more of like a fun time for me, where I am learning, understanding, and then also giving the best and being successful at it. I'm not sure if that answers the question, but that is what helped me improve my learning experience, is to have that, group assignments.
And I think, just to add to that, because I would agree with you that, Riddhi, is that, and I think that's one of the things that makes a Canadian resume a lot different than an international resume, is there are no grades on your resume. You don't talk about that. You might talk about being an honors student, but the choice of college, to me, is about the experience, and it's about applied, and you have to make choices. Mina had talked earlier about, how can I work 20 hours a day and still get an A? Maybe you can't, but you need to do both, right? So that sometimes means that doesn't have to be an A. And Toronto is one of the most multicultural business communities in the world. And the opportunity to do group activities at George Brown College gives you the opportunity to work with so many different cultures that have different approaches to teamwork. And it can be a huge experience, a great experience, but also very challenging. But you have to, if you take it from having fun first, and then figuring out how to get the job done, then it might be a lot more fun.
Absolutely. And maybe, Karen, echoing to one of your points that you said, is exposure to different cultures. I've seen this, I have observed this over and over again with my time at George Brown. I understand, trust me, we come from, a different country where we feel maybe we don't fit into the society or the culture. And that's why we try to limit ourselves to our culture and maybe folks that we are familiar with. I'd say my best experiences and my learnings have come making friends, from other cultures, trying out new cuisine. I had a Venezuelan friend, and we went for arepas or something like that. I never heard about it before. So those kind of experiences are very cherishing and gives you a lot more experience. So keep that balance on working with different culture. You will realize, and if you're observant as I am, you'll realize that, everyone has different working style, and that helps you understand how to deal with people.
Okay, and I think I've got two more questions. Did you have to get a work permit extension? Did you have to get a work permit extension when you were looking for a full-time job?
So in my case, it was different because I had experience and education back home. I applied, I studied, I applied for my work permit, got it. And then within 3 or 4 months of my starting my career in Canada, I was eligible to apply for permanent residence. So I didn't really have to wait for that 1 year of experience, apply for an extension of work permit, etc. I kind of skipped that step.
Because we're always asking about how easy work permit extensions are for companies, and having hired lots of international students and international workers in my jobs in the banks, it's easy for the company to get extensions as long as you meet the criterias of the immigration at that time. But you might not come across a hiring manager that is knowledgeable about that process, or might not want to take on the extra administration associated with that. So Rahul, it's complicated and it's very dependent on the position and the company.
And also, I'd say with Canada, how it works is that companies don't really extend your work permit. It's upon you to do it. And I'm not sure on what basis would the work permit be extended. It can't be on your job basis. For example, what the rule dictates, it says you do 1 year of work study at Canada, you get up to 1 year of work experience. The moment you finish your work experience, unless a company is sponsoring you, which is, stressful and very rare, you cannot apply for a work permit extension saying that, hey, you have a job and then you'd like to extend your work permit. Where you can extend your work permit, it says that, say, you are in a work permit, but you are eligible to apply for PR, a permanent residency. Your application is in process, and there's this between gap where your work permit is finished and you are in the process of permanent residency. So for that time period, you could do a bridging of the work permit. But from my understanding, at least, and again, I'm not an immigrant consultant, so please don't, take this as my final word, is that I am not sure, or I don't think that your work permit gets extended based on a job that you have. You need to have a reason for extension.
Okay, and then Adam says, you're a really great person to follow as a role model, I guess. But you must have had challenges in your life. And so how do you really feel? Are you as perky as you seem? And how do you tackle life's challenges in general? I'm paraphrasing for Adam.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. And thanks, Adam. But every one of us has challenges. Every human being has challenges. I have come across many as an international student. It's just my nature that I'm positive. At least I try to be positive, do things that I love to do, and be with people that really make sense to me. That's another thing that I have seen is that I wouldn't say I've started to, but it's important for us to start eliminating people who you think are a negative impact on your mind, on your career, or just your overall personality, because we don't realize these small things, but there's a lot of negativity around us. So if you really want to be, and I'm not perfect, no one is, but what has really helped me keep positive even during this COVID time, and whoever's on the call, even though I'm working, it is isolating. It's depressing. You're at home, and then for a lot of folks like I have my sister here, but apart from that, I don't have much family here, so it is depressing. So doing small things like cooking with my sister is something that makes me happy. Or just going out on a walk makes me happy. So I'd say realizing what the challenges are and trying to work around it has helped me grow, keeping right set of people around me, my friends, my family, just making sure that they're supporting me in my growth and not keeping me or not having any negative impact on who I am is also very key to realize. And once you realize that, your attitude, your nature just starts going different. And one last thing that keeps me motivated is helping other people. And does not have to be just necessarily, career related, but more of the fact that anything, I like that kind of involvement because that keeps me, updated and positive. So these are my things. And again, one thing that I really want all of you to take from this conversation of ours is find yours. Everyone has a different set of skills, different set of mindset on how to live their life. And again, not going very psychological, but more on the fact that You are the one who needs to understand what makes you happy, what keeps you positive, what keeps you updated, and how do you get through those challenges that all of us face in our life is key. That self-realization piece that came to me a little late is very key in your own success and people around you.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna wrap up the recording for now. I think we could. Oh, we've got another question. I'll take a couple more questions.
Yeah.
And if everybody has time, we've got, because Tom has to go and a couple others may have to go, but we can still ask questions. Adam wants. Are you permanent? Are you permanent resident, Rita? Or are you a citizen yet?
So I got my permanent residency in 2017, I think. Yeah, so I've applied for my citizenship now, but yeah, in the process.
It's a tough time. It's a long process, but yeah.
It's a 3 years process to apply for citizenship, and once you apply for citizenship, it's a year-long process because it is not online; it's on paper.
And okay, and so I like this conversation about networking and making friends, right? I think important networking, not just to ask for a job, but also to make friends. So Jaskaran, who is new to the group here, what do you recommend for networking opportunities? Although these days we are staying in, but when it opens up, what are you recommending? Because he's always excited about tech in finance and marketing and business in general.
Absolutely. And, great question, Jaskaran. I feel that a lot of you folks might be thinking the same. What has helped me is, yes, again, one-to-one networking. And Karen, you pointed a very key point that I cannot really iterate more, is that networking is not job asking. Networking really means understanding the person, understanding the needs, understanding the culture, and then building that relationship, which might or might not lead to a job success. And that's where a lot of folks get wrong. So that's one thing. What other things I do, that I'm part of lots of other networking organizations. So maybe I don't remember top of my head, but something called TRIAC. It's TRIEC. So I think it is an association with George Brown. So what they help you do is find a mentor for you in your field. So look at that. It's TRIEC, TRIAC. Yeah, if you can put down in the chat. And I think it's in collaboration with George Brown. So that's another opportunity, Jaskaran, where you could register yourself there, and then the system or the team would match you with a mentor who would help you in the journey for the next 3-4 months on a regular basis. I had an amazing person. I think at that time that person was working for government. They didn't help me find a job, but they helped me grow my skills, understand what I'm good at, what I need help with, etc. So that's another thing. And apart from that,
Riddhi, yeah. On one, I'm a TRIAC mentor.
Oh, you are?
I've been doing it since 2004, and I've had 17 mentees so far.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's been fun. We get together on a regular basis to regroup and see where everybody's at over the years. It's been fun. Absolutely. And they have great events here on campus. They have one every semester, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's one. And similar to that, I'd say this is maybe one mentor or group, but there are other, I'd say, I maybe, after this call, maybe I can send down the list of few names that I was in touch with when I was looking for a job as a student. But there's a lot of these networking events that happen. Sometimes it's related to what you're looking for, or sometimes it's just general. Go there, introduce yourself. That's the best way of making connections. For example, I was trying to reach out this person at a specific company via LinkedIn, and people are busy, and we didn't really get that opportunity. But then I realized they had posted a networking event to which they were a mentor in the event, and they were inviting people from LinkedIn or their connection. So I went to that event and I got the opportunity to speak with him, which I couldn't get just over a LinkedIn conversation, you know? So things like this, I'd say don't limit yourself to LinkedIn. There's lots and lots of other networking opportunities happening all around Toronto.
Yeah.
Be a part of that.
Yeah.
Another thing is Meetup. There's an app called Meetup.
Oh, I just put that there, Meetups.
Oh,
yeah.
you would? Oh, awesome. So yeah, Meetup is a great source. I mean, I use it for socializing, so going on trips and stuff like that. But I see a lot of networking events there as well.
On any topic, right? Any business topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you can also see who's going, so you can see other people of similar interests.
Exactly. And that's why, like, you know, I say this a lot, saying that, you know, I mean, the world is different now. It was always, but at least for me, it's different, where people are willing to help you. You need to build that effort. You need to build that connection to let them help you. You know, you can't expect them to help you with no connection in place. So again, saying, I think I'm repeating myself, but that is key.
We went around in a circle. That's where we started from, right? You have to make friends first. I'm going to end the session with this last question from Rishma. And we can stay on afterwards for more informal conversation.
Sure.
So, and hers is the best one to conclude on, I think, because it gets down to, now that we've made friends, Rishma, what do you look for in a candidate when you're hiring someone at Microsoft, and can you hire Rishma?
If I knew Reshma 2 months ago, I just hired someone who reports to me, but that's done, and I'm not leaving her, not yet. I'd say Reshma, again, I'm not into HR recruiting. Maybe in the beginning, a thing that I missed on doing what I do is I'm a partner enablement lead, which where I focus a lot on skilling, certification, technical trainings, business training.
And so she was
for our partners. Yeah, absolutely.
She wasn't asking for a job, but she was asking for what would you look for in a candidate to be hired?
Yeah, definitely. So moving towards that answer is that based on what my skills are, I don't think there's a general answer to it, but I'll talk about what are the common skills that I have observed that people like when you want to apply for a job at Microsoft or anywhere. The first thing is that your intent to know, to learn, is something that's very attractive, where you know stuff about the company, about the role, or if you've connected, say for example the role that I was hiring a month ago, if you would have connected with me over LinkedIn, over a coffee chat, that does not give you the job, but then that would increase your opportunity to apply for that job and even get shortlisted if your skills make sense. So I'd say that is one thing, is the intent to learn and be curious about a lot of stuff. Me being curious at Microsoft has helped me a lot. That's that. Another thing is positive attitude. It's very important that you be appreciative of things that the company is doing or that the role is presenting to you. And you there's no statements to that, but it comes out when you talk about the role, when you talk about the company with that enthusiasm and that determination that you really want to be at Microsoft. That has helped me. Apart from that, I think the last thing I'd like to say is that fit to the culture is a key thing for Microsoft, is that you need to be a good fit for the company as well. And I think that's not only with Microsoft, that's with every other company in the world. You need to identify what their culture is, what their working style is, and how you fit into that is something I'd say Microsoft or any other company in general looks for. And these are minus the skills, considering that you have the skills, plus these are the things that sets you apart.
Yeah, and I think, so we'll end on that. And Benny, just point out Benny's comment about the importance of passion for the idea and a positive attitude, right? And you have to be enthusiastic and positive and authentic about that, making the connections with people no matter what. Exactly. Well, I have to say, Risha, that this has been fabulous. I think, right, guys? I think it's been a fabulous session. Really, we're really lucky that you're putting yourself out there, being vulnerable and sharing your experiences with other new Canadians on the call who are in a similar position. And I believe that there's a lot of opportunity to continue that discussion in over the next coming weeks in your job search. So, except, oh my God, we've got another great question. Can I ask one more?
Yeah, sure. Go about it. If folks are on the call and would like to continue, I'd definitely like to answer.
One more, and then I'm going to end it for real. But this idea of no Canadian experience is related to if you get that feedback, right? You have no Canadian experience. It's related to cultural fit and the cultural fit in the company. So Grace is asking, what is it? How do I know if I fit into it? Before I apply?
I mean, see, that's the thing. How I understood the culture for Microsoft was connecting with people who work at Microsoft beforehand, or even after applying, the time that I have, the waiting time that I have, that they assess the job. You can't know a company culture just from reading it, maybe you'll have a theoretical knowledge, but then I think key thing for me to understand what the culture was for that team was that I connected with XYZ people in the team, in the company, to ask that question. Every company has a different culture, and you need to ask that question, and you can only do that, or at least one of the ways to do that is connect with the people on the team, ask them their experience. I asked questions like, hey, you've been with the company for 5 years. Can you tell me something about your best times and times where you didn't really appreciate your work or your culture? See, you think that those questions make them vulnerable, but you'd be surprised to know that people would love to share that. And that's the information that, Grace, maybe you take in, understand, what they talk about. If they're talking about saying that, hey, we have a great work from home culture available, saying, work-life balance culture at office, where if I have to go for my kids' game, I can, if for 2 hours, maybe I can work 2 hours early in the morning and try to fill in those 2 hours. So get those experiences, get them talking, understand what the culture is. And that's what I mean by culture. And, there's no straight answer to that. You'll only get to know when you talk with them.
Yeah, it's complicated, and it's about making friends, making connections, and see if you like that experience of friendship with the people that in the different companies. I like that. All right, so thanks a lot for coming today. This was a great finale of the speaker series, and I'll call it a day, and the recordings, and then we can continue the conversation afterwards.
Awesome. So thanks, Karen, again, thanks for the opportunity, I'd say then. And I'm hoping that I was helpful to the folks on the call today somehow. And just one piece of advice that I wanted to say before we ended this call was, when you send LinkedIn invitations, send a note. I say that over and over again because a small note, like for example, if you folks on the call are not on my LinkedIn and would like to connect, send a note saying that, hey, Riddhi, I spoke, we heard you at the Analytics Club session and would really like to connect. That increases the chances of someone accepting your LinkedIn request, because I think this is one key question or a key thing that everyone asks me, saying that, hey, we sent our LinkedIn request to 10 people, they're not accepting it, right? So I think that's one very small key thing I'd like to mention, helps you build that relationship that I mentioned.
And I often don't accept either unless I feel compelled to say, you should have done that.
Right?
Thanks for ending with some great advice. Have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, again, for your time.